Welcome to another video by Mr. Kabanga from the Congo. All right, what are we learning today? Well, today you're learning about geometric mean altitude. Like you just mean and with altitude or altitude, whatever you want to say. Don't be too mean. So, what does that mean? How are we going to do this math? So, clearly, you see a triangle. Do you see a triangle right here? Yes, Mr. Kabongo, we see a triangle. Good for you. All right, so we're looking at a triangle. After identifying the triangle, in the past, we talk about an altitude. Altitude is drawn from a point, we call it a vertex, all the way to a base or to a segment. That's an altitude. So how do I go about finding x? The question is find, you want to write that down? Find x, right? So how do I go about finding x, knowing that they give me an altitude? Well, here's what you're going to do. As soon as you know the altitude, as soon as you can clearly see the altitude, you're going to write it at the bottom left and at the top, right? Like this. So the altitude right now is 8. So 8 goes right here and 8 goes out there. Remember, bottom left and top right. Now, what goes on the other two? The other two is just like, it don't matter which one goes first. You can start with this. It's the basis. So I have 4. And I have x. All right, now cross multiply. 8 times 8, we get 64. 4 times x, we get 4x. Solve for x, you just have to divide by 4. Divide by 4, x equals 2. I bet you 16. What is 64 divided by 4? It is 16. That's it. You figure out the value of x on the other side is 16. All right. So although it's not drawn to scale, so don't be like, well, 16 is too big. Just go with this. All right. So how do we do number 2? Same deal. Question number 1. Do you have the altitude? Altitude is drawn from a point drop to the base. It always makes a right angle too when it drops down there. So yes, I do have the altitude. Remember, altitude goes at the bottom left and it goes to bottom left and also go top right. All right, bottom left and top right. So right now the altitude is x and x. All right, what do we do with the other ones? The leftover. Leftover 1. It don't matter which goes because you're going to multiply them anyway. And the other one. Multiply that sucker right there, you get 100. Let's go with red. Multiply that, you get 100. Multiply this, you get x squared. When you have x squared, to find the value of x, you have to square root it. There's a button on your calculator for square roots, and that will give you 100. All right, let's do number 3. Number 3, identify the, here it is right here. Boom. The altitude goes left, bottom left, altitude, top right, altitude. Right now, we said it was, what is it? 4. 4 bottom left, 4 top right. All right, now what? Now, what you're going to do is take your leftover. Here's a leftover, and here's a leftover. You with me? The leftovers will always be on the base. Now, you multiply that. 3x, you multiply that. 4 times 4 is 16, and you divide by 3. You divide by 3. X equals 5.3. All right. All right, last one. Altitude right there. Oh, altitude on the bottom left. Altitude on the top right. Altitude is x. Leftovers. Leftovers numero 1 goes right there. What will be the leftover for this one right here? What would this be? Question mark. Do you see that that will be 10? How did I get 10? Just subtract this 2. You get 10. All right. Multiply this. You get your 40. Multiply that. You get your x squared. Right? So now, what is 40 squared? 40 squared is 6.3. That's how you find x.